back at the Pillow Fort in the Hummingway Cave on the moon. We are broadcasting live the round of 64 match between Advocate of Doom and microKorgs for Game 3 of their set. I am Demarine. I am joined this afternoon by Nth. Nth, how are you enjoying the Pillow Fort, and are you ready for this one?
You know, it's comfortable. It's surprisingly warm. You would think like a moon pillow fort would be pretty cold, but, you know, got some nice space heaters going here, carefully placed around as to not cause any problems. So it's quite comfortable up here. And, you know, I'm really excited to see this match because, well, Game 3s are always exciting.
Yeah, I mean, this is a direct elimination match. We've got the most vanilla of heroes, so I guess we're doing ordeals. I don't know. I got nothing. We are actually going to see a fight in the Land of Summon Monsters, at least. How do you feel about that one?
I feel excited about that one, mostly because I feel like a lot of the races I've watched lately have been tales of really, really annoying fights at the king spot, and so, you know, here's to hoping for another annoying fight at the king spot today. At least for us, the runners might not be quite as happy with that.
Yeah, that's kind of what the thought is here, is that, you know, those spots are really bad a lot of the time, but since K summons off, no one's had to really fight them because there's no key items down there unless it's Misdragon. So, you know, this is a twist I don't know, sometimes runners may not be ready for, or, you know, you see a boss that you think you could take, and then all of a sudden you're getting meleeed for like 800 plus a turn and just going, oh, this is really bad. Why is this so bad? I hate this game. And then getting yourself into a lot of trouble, potentially.
Yeah, I feel like that Objective 5 kind of is also quite interesting because, first of all, it means that we have the hard guaranteed underground no matter what. There's been a few seeds I've seen lately, which the underground is basically useless, partly because that K-Summon flag is off and there's not as many things to find down there. But also, I almost wonder if, you know, with the return the pan objective, if you're tempted to try and, you know, fade Fabul on the overworld and like that as long as you can, that might change some of their other early routing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I know the Fabul fade play is something people do love when, especially when pan's an objective. You know, you want to try to get underground fast and stay there, and then come back up to finish your objective and do like Fabul all at one time. It's a rare treat when you get to do it. So, you know, I know some runners that look to do it, and some runners are like, look, I just want to mag the key, like, we'll do everything. I mean, the other thing, of course, is that a lot of this may come down to the weaponry they find. Of course, Cecil can still equip Holy Swords, even though they've been jammed into their own tier 8. We'll see if this gets runners to try to chase one on the moon, potentially out of moon boxes. We shall see.
Absolutely, and that telestart too is really telling you, hey, head straight to ordeals, and also music at the start means we might actually see that today.
Yeah, Dr. Lugai is the boss you see here, so not a Lunar Sparkle, so nothing to really be worried about. Also, you get the Baron Key, you know, the first boss is going to be pretty straightforward. But yeah, the Ordeal starter kit is with us, and so getting Tella his spells has been a really, really big deal in the last couple of tournaments especially. So I don't see that changing anytime soon this time around.
Yeah, and I feel like having a Tella or finding an edge somewhere else early on is really, really strong in these flags, where you kind of want to have a good grind option on the table as soon as possible, because I've noticed with most of the races I've watched that go mode kind of just tends to happen all at once when it happens, and you kind of already want to be prepared for it at any point in time.
Yeah, I mean, the double underground at least means that they know that they're not going to run into complete go mode on the overworld, for example. So we'll see how that ends up playing out here. And of course, both runners are going to be in the pass of water because they are going to be looking for items down here, because they're going to be looking for items with a basically loot scales based on location. Since there's no objective here, the spot has somewhat better loot. So maybe they're looking for something that'll help get them started.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much the standard early play, is either here or Castle Eblin. I'm kind of interested because I feel like I've seen a lot more of Castle Eblin lately than I've seen of Watery Pass, and also Advocate of Doom is dipping out of here way earlier than I usually see people when they have exit already.
Yeah, maybe they're going to jump to the midsection instead and maybe leave these deep boxes behind, try and maybe be a little bit more efficient. I mean, Korgs gets a Leviathan summon out of the deal, though. So if Radia shows up, there's our first real breakpoint. Black Belt Gi also kind of nice once you promote. You can't, Cecil Black Knight or Dark Knight can't equip it, but it might be handy later. Advocate gets a Dragon Whip here, which I don't see a world in which Korgs doesn't grab that as well. Just because, but there's a Black Saber here, so Advocate does get the best Dark Knight Cecil weapon for now.
And that could be interesting too. I don't feel like it will happen with how deep microKorgs is looting, but I feel like that's like one of the chests that people usually skip, and he's already walked all the way over here, so he's gonna end up picking that up anyways.
Oh, he's even gonna do the back chest here.
There's an Asura in the watery pass spot as well, so it's a boss out of the way. Not the most difficult boss, so not great to have in that sort of easy location, but still nice to know that you don't have to go back there at any point.
Very true. Of course, chat is talking here about a silk web popping up, which has got chat real excited because, well, the J items that you know and love that give Free Enterprise so much texture a lot of the time, you can't buy them in shops on these flags. We've turned off those items in shops. Whether you like it or not, you've got to find them in boxes. And a silk web is a big deal for fighting Zeromus. It could be useful if we've got a hook route. It's a nice utility item all the way around, and having one is a big deal.
Definitely, and it also means, usually the way that you see silk webs being gotten on these flags is you burn a siren for it, and this means that you're just saving that siren in this case. Also, an edge in the bed in Kaipo is a pretty big bonus too.
Do you love to see it? I think if you get a Sand Ruby, you really love to see it.
Definitely. I think that's one of the few characters in these flags that's a definite always pick up if get Sand Ruby and Kaipo bed sort of things, unless they find another edge somewhere else. And beyond that, it could be an incentive to dump off this Tela eventually if they find that Sand Ruby, if they decide they want to do an underground grind with this heavily underground favored objective set instead of doing a giant grind that Tela would enable.
Yeah, I mean, sirens, even when you have to steal them, they're still quite fast to do for the grind, so it gets real interesting here. So easy enough boss here to start the seed off. Now we've got Dark Elf guarding Kane for our party, so another physical brawler that could also use some of this physical gear we've got already.
Definitely, and with that and a source of Berserk, once you get up Mount Ordeals, you're pretty set for a lot of that early game pain as long as we find some good equipment for both of them. I don't think we've seen anything particularly great for eventual Paladin Cecil. I don't think we've seen any real Kane weapons yet either, and that's the only real sticking point we've got at the moment.
I believe both runners have a Flame Saber, but that's about the extent of it right now. I know there's a Crystal Gauntlet in First Room Watery Paths, but that's not like, oh goodness, this is great, I love it, this is fantastic gear. It's, it's a Crystal Gauntlet.
It's the gold star, you tried your best sort of equipment at the moment. Flame Saber will do, but at the same time, it's not the full 5-star thing you would hope for early on.
Yeah, we've got both runners using Tela's Cure 2 to deal with the weak spell here that comes out from Dark Elf. Both runners have got Transform Dark Elf, so easy peasy so far, pretty much. Maybe Cecil dies here, not that it matters. He is the hero and also a Dark Knight, so he's going to lose all the experience he gets anyhow once he promotes at Ordeals.
Yeah, and these breaths aren't hitting particularly hard either, so this should be pretty much free from here for both of them.
Yeah, a couple of Kane jumps, and we're on our way here. Advocate did get here first, and so we'll be leaving first with Kane in tow.
It's the cousin of the Flame Saber. It's a Flame Spear as well.
Flame Spear is always nice too, because, again, even if we find no other weapons, at least we now have a weapon for both characters here. Longsword for that possible eventual edge, an Ice Brand, that's a nice pickup, and a Lunar Staff is not to be sneezed at here.
It's a pretty good Hobbs, even for what we have so far, just having another minor upgrade on that weapon for Cecil once we get him transformed into a Paladin. Having that Lunar Staff for Tela or whoever you end up white maging will help through later, even though it's not great not a huge deal right now, but it will make an impact later on down the line. We're also seeing a Blizzard Spear here in the Antlion Cave over on Advocate's side, so we've got some pretty good like elemental coverage equipment for both of our characters so far that are going to be swinging at things.
Yeah, Rubicant, Millen Z, Kainazo. You know, there's a handful of bosses that you can wipe out pretty easily with elemental gear. So it's always nice to see it early on.
Definitely. The only thing that really you could potentially want to see early on that we haven't seen yet might be some J items that do damage across an entire enemy party, just in case you run into a scary gauntlet somewhere along the line. But all in all, I think they've got to be pretty happy with how they've gone so far.
I don't know if both runners have it, but there was like one Zeus Rage out there in the Watery Pass as well. So, and, you know, again, it's been pretty good looting though so far. Honestly, I think if I were to say, and both our runners are looting pretty hot and heavy. I think Korgs is a little lighter on the Antlion loot here. So, a couple Blizzard Spears. So there's also a little bit more money for both our runners as well.
Definitely, and this Leviathan down here at the bottom of Antlion Cave is another good one to not have to worry about at a potentially worse spot when those waves start really adding up with the attacks on top of it. So yeah, down already. They're not having any problems with this boss here.
Yeah, Kane jumps are hitting. With Kane with Black Belt shirt and Blizzard Spear, I think there's like, I've seen jumps for like 600 at this point already.
The tower key for the reward is particularly interesting because we end up going with the hook route on this route. That does enable that sort of immediately turn around and go into tower play if our players are confident about doing that. So that does open some interesting routing choices once we figure out what our underground access actually is.
Also overall, it's just a good item.
Definitely. And like the easiest boss spot in the game for another key item check is really, really nice to see, especially when you're already probably going to be going in there, especially if we get that edge right away and then you can steal sirens while you're in there, completely one-shot the tower. It would be absolutely the dream.
So you mentioned fading Fabul a little earlier, right?
Yeah, it looks like we got 1 out of 2 here. microKorgs deciding to head to Ordeals and AdvocateOfDoom going here. I'm one of those people who, when I'm playing Seeds, wants to try and fade Fabul, but I'm also one of the people who's not necessarily as skilled as these runners are in terms of being able to pull it off. So I'm interested in seeing what this ends up doing to the race, because I love this sort of early divergence, which is almost kind of rare in these flags.
Yeah, and of course Ordeal's loot is like Headband, Aegis, Shield, Coffin, so why would you loot anywhere else? Also, Mute Knives and Cursed Rings are for sale here in Fabul, so that's always nice to see. So we love to know where the Cursed Ring is in a shop, because it could be anywhere on T Standard.
Definitely, and the only real downside is that Mute Knife has lost a little tiny bit of value off of that Asura ending up in the Waterfall Cave, so you're not going to need that to get through her at a bad spot. But how about an Evil Wall at Fabul and a French Vanilla Mylon Z for your next set of bosses here? I feel like one of those is way better to deal with than the other.
Yeah, microKorgs flipped over to the Flame Spear on Kane for this jump, so this should really ruin Millen's day. Yep, day ruined. Millen Z downed.
Definitely, and I think, it's not like Evil Wall is going to pose a huge problem here, but it is one of those sorts of bosses that can be still a bit annoying to deal with. So it is nice to get it out of the way here, but it is also not necessarily what you want to run into. We are seeing the Baron Guards over here on microKorgs' side, which is another one of those good ones to get out early, but in the back attack spot, hitting Tella for both right away, this is actually looking a little bit dicey right now.
Yeah, the big thing is they hit real hard, but we do have a Black Sword, so you can see that they do get the instant kill proc on the first one. So don't even need to think about things here. You just switch over to Cecil, hope he survives. Oh, that's bad. He's dead. Why is he dead?
That's a very good question. I think his hit points hit 0, and that might be why he ended up dead there, but I am not 100% sure. And Fade Fabul Dream just got a little bit weaker over on Advocate's side because we have just seen a hook out of that Fabul reward.
You love to see it. You love to see it if you're in the chat side. I think if you're a player, you don't love to see it. Whatever the opposite of you love to see it is, that's what we've got here.
I think the opposite, if you love to see it, would be either in this case you love to not see it or you don't like to see it. And I think that possibly if you close your eyes, you might still be able to get through that at that point. But at the same time, it might be a bit more difficult. We are going to see Advocate go here and at very least check the character on the hook route. I don't think he'll try and do the whole hook route with Dark Knight Cecil and an unpowered Tella, but we'll at least know who the character is here and see whether or not that gives him a pretty big advantage in clearing the rest of these checks, especially if that magma key is not hiding somewhere else.
Well, we're about to get this ordeals check, though, and show us the pink tail. So we're going to get a high-tier item for our troubles, because we know the hook is out there, waiting for us, somewhere, anywhere.
This has potential to be one of those dream seeds, well, depending on your perspective, where you just suddenly luck into a big old crystal sword right out of the way. But we are seeing Baigen here at this spot, another good boss to have out of the way for later. We also saw a light sword over in this Fabul shop too, so that would be a good starter weapon to really get that underway, as well as a Gungnir too for Kane. So hey, we've got weapons for our two berserkers so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So microKorgs throughout the blizzard. The tough thing about Cecil Hero is two things. Cecil's level 1, which means his strength is abysmal because he gets promoted beforehand. And his speed is also abysmal because he's level 1. So this becomes a much less fun fight than it really could be. It does get through it, banged up, worse for wear, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's pretty good. He'll be happy once he actually gets through that. The only concern I have is if he gets that magma key, if it's hiding at Baron Inn or even at Harp, if he decides to do Harp and continue to commit to Fading Fabul, doesn't end up getting that hook and doesn't end up getting the weapons that Advocate has access to. But we are also seeing a Palom here, which could be another great thing to pick up early on.
Yeah, Palom's a nice character when not the hero. I mean, agility will always be a little bit weird, but it's all right. It's you do want to have this black mage. You know, you have since Doom hasn't climbed ordeals, does have a little bit of extra experience coming his way for this hook character. So we'll see how much that really maybe pays off or not.
I think it depends on what the bosses are at Baron Inn, and also sort of when microKorgs decides to cut his losses and head for Fabul. Because if you have, like, let's say an alt gauntlet in that one spot that doesn't give XP normally, so you're getting a lot more XP out of this Baron Inn spot, that could be really big to have a Palom, especially if you can get Palom to a level where he has that good AoE magic and can take those out a lot quicker.
Yeah, Advocate also loot real heavy here in the Babel Pass. This is an underground area, so the loot is pretty upgraded here. We've seen a rune axe, there's another headband, we've seen a lot of heavy armor. So a lot of good stuff down here at this point, so you kind of are pretty happy to get all of that. Now he knows where the monster box is as well, so he can go and loot the rest of it. First look at the Baron Inn, though. That seemed pretty good, doesn't it? That's a pretty good pair to see hanging out, having a drink together.
I think if you're looking for the ideal Baron Inn, like, at least from what you can see before you start the fight, this is pretty much it at this point. And I almost feel like once Advocate of Doom gets there, and once microKorgs, if he wants to, ends up taking that Palom off of the hook route once he gets the hook, you've got a pretty solid party to take into endgame already. If you have Kane, Cecil, Rosa, and Palom, and then Tella is also there.
Yeah, this party whips. It's pretty good. Dark Imps are our second boss, so you're pretty happy to see this. They do melee hard in this spot. So maybe you consider cashing out that coffin. You don't have the black sword anymore because you've already climbed ordeals. So you've got to kind of decide how you best want to get through this. Probably stone is going to be our best option here.
As long as Tella lives, because he's already been punched once for 200 damage, and Kane's already down too, so we really got to hope this stone lands, and it lands on all three, so he's already through that fight.
%50 of Forge. They've got a Legend Sword. Technically a Cecil weapon. We're not going to use it as a Cecil weapon.
I'm excited to see what Korgs does now, because that leaves just Fabul and the Twin Harp available to him at this point in time. I almost feel like he'll probably cash in that Fabul option before he heads to Harp, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see both runners run that Harp and just try and land a potential Magma Key instead of going down that hook route if they can at all avoid it. Also, that Dwarf Axe is really nice to be able to get that back row glitch onto both Cecil and Kane, and also for potential, well, you don't really want to manipulate Cecil's agility using a weapon, but if you absolutely had to, it's something you could possibly do.
Yeah, it looks like Advocate dumped a bunch of the stuff that he found down below, doing some re-equipping here. Found enough to buy a lightsaber, so cashed out for a lightsaber, so he'll have that on hand as soon as he leaves here. It's a 99% accuracy weapon with a little bit of strength bonus, and it's nice to have, certainly. Not going to see me complaining too loudly about picking up a lightsaber here.
Absolutely, and we're just in a really, really good shape for this party already, too. This is being really nice so far. That karate there at the Mist Cave, that's not a fight we're going to take. We're about to see what will be at the D-Mist here. There's still a lot of options to find that Magma Key, too, so that hook route is still not even guaranteed.
If it's packaged, it gets a little awkward because Korgs went in the wrong way, but it is the party rock instead. So if you don't like this party, Hallam, Rosa, Cecil, Kane, and Tella, I don't know, maybe Zot's not the play today.
I think it depends on how much you want to try and avoid a hook route, because the question at this point in time is, do you sort of head for that hook that, in this case, Advocate got out of Fabul, Korgs has not gone there yet, or do you try and just continue clearing those overworld checks to try and avoid a hook route if possible? In which case, doing this Tower of Zot, doing this Twin Harp might be a very strong play, but we are at very least going to see him go over to the Treasury.
Seen some real exciting treasury so far this tournament for sure.
Great that treasury!
Crystal Sword. There you go. There's your entire game already done.
Ah, is this what we lovingly call? Is this what the kids call a 20 out of 10?
Crystal Sword and Heroine Robe? Yeah, no, I'll take that. This seed just got a lot easier no matter what. We're heading down that Twin Harp and Earth Crystal combo almost certainly at this point. Korgs has no reason to head back to Fabul now.
Yeah, we're gonna go take that Crystal Sword and get some music, but we're gonna go take that Crystal Sword and I guess it's time to embarrass some things. That is the greatest thing we've ever seen in the Treasury for sure. Like, by the way, the chance of seeing a Crystal Sword there is like less than 1% in any given box. It looks like Advocate's having a bit of a problem here with the Dark Imps, considering how hard they've been hitting. Burnt off some items, though, and now is using Cane Jumps to finish the job. So we'll end up getting, hopefully through this, getting the Legend Sword as well as the eventual Earth Crystal.
Absolutely, and I gotta think that he's just gonna follow the same path as microKorgs did, so as long as he doesn't fade the Treasury, he won't be losing too much by not having that Crystal Sword yet. Realistically, I almost feel like Advocate's a little tiny bit ahead at this point, just due to already having that Fabul check and that likely being our underground access, so we'll see where he goes from here specifically. The only potential problem I can see that would slow him down more than otherwise would be if he decides he's going to head to Twin Harp without checking the Treasury first.
I mean, with a lightsaber, you could get away with that, but, you know, in the end, obviously, lightsaber's power level is its 90 attack power, which is great and all, don't get me wrong. The Crystal Sword's attack power is 200.
Exactly. It's like, you could get away with like getting like a fish sandwich at McDonald's, or you could go get like a full lobster dinner somewhere. You want the lobster dinner where possible.
Nope, we don't eat lobsters there, friends. We'll gladly take the fillet of fish over the lobster. Team lobster forever.
It's fair. Well, let's rephrase this then. You could either get the fillet of fish at McDonald's, or you could buy an aquarium and keep a lobster as a pet friend for as long as you'd like, in which case you're taking the lobster.
Much better, thank you.
Absolutely, anytime. So anyways, it's music time.
Right on time. So speaking of dead sea life, that is a turtle taken out.
Yeah, it's, we would have liked to keep him as a friend too, but friendship was unfortunately just not an option. We did our best. Did get that lovely Donkey Kong country music, and hey, here's another piece of underground if you want to try and single dip it while you're there. We just got the Luca key out of this twin harp check, which means that we are only one potential spot away from knowing that this is a guaranteed hook route as well.
Hey, Anth.
Hello?
They're not coming to the moon.
No. Well, unless they have to.
Yeah, I guess.
What am I supposed to do with all these refreshments I made? We were gonna have like a little reception and all that, and I guess they'll keep in the fridge for a while. We have a moon fridge.
There's definitely a moon fridge. There's always next time. It'll be fine.
Just throw them in the freezer, thaw them out for the next time. But microKorgs is going to head up this tower at this point in time. I gotta think you're already committed to not taking Fabul, and you have a crystal sword. Fabul is never an option in this particular case, so pretty expected. We'll see who's up here for characters, but I gotta think that he's probably, he doesn't have the Palom yet, but there's not going to be too much up here that'll tempt him outside of maybe an edge at this point, or maybe someone who would function well as a chemist in that Z fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Advocate of Doom, of course, uses the Black Sword and Rune Axe to eliminate the guards and shove them off the bridge with no remorse whatsoever. You terrible, terrible wait, no, that's part of the... Nope, I'm being told that's part of the match. It's fine to push people off the bridge.
They actually have a bungee cord, so really they're just having fun. Pay no attention to the bloop, it means nothing. That's actually the cord, reaching its maximum length.
It's awesome. So I guess someone's down there to detach them. That's cool.
Yes. How about a nice free fight here? How about that great moment when you see that blue robe pop up and you're like, oh no, this isn't the bad one, is it?
We got a Crystal Sword Cecil. Every fight's free.
true, but Crystal Sword Cecil, his one downfall is that he can only hit one thing at a time. So that gauntlet still becomes annoying at very least.
I guess.
Here's your bad suggestion for the feedback and ideas channel for today as part of my continued attempts at terrorizing that particular channel. Consider suggesting the Crystal Sword hit all enemies instead.
Please don't ban us, Rivers.
Look, as long as he never knows that I'm the person giving these ideas, it's fine.
At Rivers McCown on the Free Enterprise Workshop in feedback and ideas. Please make all of the Super Forge weapons hit all enemies. Thanks.
Anyways, now that I've brought that evil upon us, let's see what ends up being at the top of tower here, at very least for characters, and what will be in that Golbez spot. That's a Sid and a Sparkle. That's actually a pretty nice bit of information to have, and that's actually a pretty okay character for that 5th spot. AdvocateOfDoom now through that Vigan fight as well. Iridia here as well is a pretty nice thing for not having that Palom. We do have that Leviathan. I'll be interested to see who microKorgs puts in this party here.
Probably nobody. He has to take Sid. He had an open spot, so he grabs Sid and is probably pretty happy with that. But, you know, he's never gone and gotten that Palom, who now is still at level 10.
Yeah, that is the big advantage that AdvocateOfDoom has here, is that, well, he doesn't have that Crystal Sword to speed up the bosses that he's doing quite yet. He does have that Palom to give that Palom a few extra levels. And I don't know, I'm trying to figure out how much of an advantage that actually is at the moment, because I don't think that's going to outweigh how much a Crystal Sword is doing. These French Vanilla Magus sisters are hurting quite a bit, though.
Oh yeah, in this spot they hurt like heck, but they can really only kill one party member at a time. The physical attacks are pretty tame. It's the, oh god, this Ice 2 is hitting for 1,000, what game am I playing? Why is this Final Fantasy V all of a sudden?
And down goes Cecil already. That's unfortunate. Did AdvocateOfDoom go to the treasury? I looked away for a moment.
Did not. Stopped, turned around, and is now just headed straight into Harp at this point. So I think he's decided that Lightsaber is good enough to not check the treasury, and little does he know what he's leaving behind. And when he does find out, he's gonna be real sad.
He is, but I gotta think that if he's gonna be going up Zot, he'll still check it anyways, just because there's still a few things that you could help with this party. Unless he just, well, I mean, I guess he could decide that Light Sword and Gungnir are good enough and that Crystal Sword chance isn't quite high enough, in which case this could be a little bit tragic, but I gotta expect he'll still go there at this point anyways.
Korgs is having a bit of a tough time with one of the things that's really important in this particular fight, which is decisiveness. The Magus sisters here are fast and furious and firing on all cylinders. Taking out Mindy is super, super important, so getting the Mindy kill there matters a lot. Kane is going to survive that with 8 hit points. I don't know if he has any healing items either, so he's got a handful of life potions that you get from the starter kit, but that's really it. But you can see that he's getting rushed down pretty hard. Mindy's back. That's bad times.
Yeah, I was about to say, the problem is that he's got so many people down that by the time he actually gets his party back up, Mindy is back up and we just start the cycle over again. This is actually looking pretty rough right now. But I think he'll still be fine. He can still stabilize from here. I'm not sure how much health that Cindy might have left at this point, but really it's just going to be a matter of sort of slogging away through and hoping that those resources doesn't run out. And there goes Cindy, so I think we're fine now.
We're still going to deal with one more Reflect before the remaining sisters start casting spells. Sandy could still cause some troubles because her first spell is Charm. And if she decides to charm the pants off of Cecil here, things can get really bad. But it doesn't happen. Everything's okay.
Yeah, this is the one. I don't want to say the one time where you're deeply, deeply hoping that Charm doesn't hit, because you're never hoping that Charm hits, but this is the one time where Charm would wipe you entirely. But he is through that fight, and we'll see what the reward is here, because there's still hope that Magma Key is out there, and also still hope that Adamant might drop, or the Pan might drop that leads to an Adamant and lead us to not really requiring that Moon, possibly.
Here we go. Hey, did you know the Crystal Sword's a good weapon that makes everything go faster?
Yeah, the Crystal Sword is a very good weapon that makes things go way faster. I didn't realize how much faster that would be. Enough that in the meantime, microKorgs grabbed that Darkness Crystal as the end of the Earth crystal check there, and got his hook, which leads to a very interesting question of where do you go from here? Because he could go down that hook route, or he could just try and go for a grind at 8 key items even.
Well, you really, interestingly enough, you don't care about the pink tail at this point. I mean, now his best pink tail pull is honestly White Shirt.
Yeah, White Shirt or maybe an Avenger, just for the Avenger glitch onto that Crystal Sword Cecil, but I don't really think that either of those are worth going out of your way for at this point in time.
Maybe he'll give us a look. You know, you get greedy, you want an Avenger, maybe you give it a shot.
I think it probably depends a little bit on whether or not you think you'll hit Rat Tail later. I think double dipping the Adamant Grotto potentially might be extremely unappealing, but single dipping it, I mean, if you get the Rat Tail, you might as well be there. Again, the real question is whether or not Korgs decides I have enough power, I can just go down this hook route and go underground and hit 10 key items because I'm so close, or if he decides I'm going to just go quickly do a grind and figure out from there. But it looks like he's at least heading over to this hook route, so he's either checking the character or just going for it. And it is an Excalibur from this pink tail instead.
That closes a gap some, at least. That's not the worst thing to see here if you're Advocate. Like, I mean, it's an upgrade. It's 160, I think, attack power, so it's still very good. Obviously, it's a massive upgrade over the lightsaber.
Yeah, but I am seeing the worst thing I could be seeing on Advocate's side at the moment, which is he looks like he's just going to fade that Tower of Zotchek entirely at this point and maybe head down the hook route already.
Wait, has he gone to Mist Dragon?
He has, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so.
He might not have, actually. That would make sense as to why he didn't go to Treasury, why he didn't go there. We'll have to try and find out at this point in time.
Yeah, Solaris is noting Advocate does not have the Earth Crystal on his personal tracker, which is always a good thing to check, which means no, he never checked Mist Dragon.
Oh, that could be critically bad because Darkness Crystal is gated behind that demist as well. So that's his moon access.
Yeah, that could get really, really bad. That's actually frightening, in fact.
Well, there are underground layouts that could make it so that he's fine. But that is sort of wishing on a star there, so to speak. You know, if you get underground, you find like Wyvern, Adamant, Pass, and a Pan, then we don't need the moon, and that's perfectly fine, even though it'll be slower due to the lack of a crystal sword. But it is a little bit scary right now.
Yeah, I mean, yes, if that's the layout, and then here's the thing though, is that it's like, great, how do you grind? So now you need it to be Wyvern, Adamant, Pan, Pass, Sand Ruby.
Which is technically possible, but not likely. I mean, there is a chance that he just at some point in time remembers, oh, I found demist, I need to go check this, and gets through it there. And also over on microKorgs side, we're at the hook route. We're about to see Vanilla Mom and Dad here.
The best possible boss you could see in this spot. This bot can be so dangerous and so deadly and such a time waster. And on second thought, we're going to be here. I guess this is the part where Korgs puts down his controller, gets a good stretch in, you know, grabs a drink, takes a moment to reflect upon all of the decisions that have brought him to this point, and then get ready to fight the second boss.
Now, what was the second boss? Because I got distracted by a Palom showing up and was not paying attention to who the sprite was.
Please don't put me on the spot like this. I wasn't paying attention either.
I only put you on the spot there because I already put myself on the spot and didn't know. It is Octomam. Okay, so that's not great, but it's doable.
Thank you, chat. Ah.
The true commentary was the friends we made along the way, literally, in this case.
A free enterprise, 2 commentators, a restreamer, and 67 trackers in chat. It rules.
Exactly. So we'll see how he gets through this Octomam fight. I gotta think it's not going to pose too much of a problem, even though this fight can be a bit punchy, especially once you really get that crystal sword swinging here.
This spot doesn't hit hard, and Berserk was the very first thing that was done. Like, it's not going to hit Cecil in the back row hard enough to be super dangerous.
You know what? I'm thinking of the other spot that punches extremely hard. At least, or maybe that was just me having, like, sort of bad memories of the seed in which I got Dark Imps at one of these spots, and it was the worst experience I've ever had. So, not 100% sure. We are seeing over on Advocate's side, he did equip that crystal armor to Cecil, which is interesting, which means that he must be a bit less interested in berserking him at this point and a bit more interested in just making sure he has that defense to get through this upcoming hook route for him.
Yeah, Artemis Bow as well down here. So a bunch of interesting stuff in Eblin for sure. But this always brings up the question, and I always love the question of when should you be done, right? I think that looting wise, we are at the point where when you should be done, we passed that part, right? Like, I think we're through that. It's always a really difficult thing to think about is, you know, did we need to open those boxes? Did we need that extra experience? It's nice to have, right? Like Advocate's party is gonna hammer through this pretty good, but is it that much of a difference than microKorgs hammering through this at this point?
I'm not 100% sure. I think on Advocate's side where he doesn't have that crystal sword, he might be tempted to just think, if one of these is a crystal sword, my opponent has done this, I will lose, not knowing that he's already lost a crystal sword from elsewhere, which could still not matter necessarily. There's still worlds in which that extra spent time is not really that worthwhile. But I think, yeah, we're at the point where we're not taking that many more fights, if any at all. Not many more fights, many more chests. My brain, like, Korgs got through that fight, and my brain inserted the word fight mid-sentence. But we're about to see who's at the top of tower here, too, and that will be interesting to see, because it might... Well, you got a Rubicon up there. You might as well go for it, I think, in this case.
You've got a Crystal Sword Cecil. You might as well just do whatever you want.
You're right here. You can get the better airship and just leave the Falcon down here where it belongs and never touch it again. You know, you might as well just turn right around, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes and checks the freebies first instead.
I do love a good free check.
I think what's interesting on microKorgs' side is he's very well set up in a way that he can not have to worry about anything underground, or not have to worry about coming back down here. He can do the entire underground now if he chooses, and only have to come back down here if he has to forge outside of that pan check as well. Well, there's an Odin, which is an interesting first boss here.
Yeah, I mean, fairly healthy, but you've got Lit 3 on Tele, you've got a Crystal Sword Cecil. God, I keep mentioning that we have a Crystal Sword Cecil. Hey, did you know, chat? Chat, I wanted you to know. Because I'm not sure if you know that we have a Crystal Sword Cecil.
Crystal Sword Cecil makes everything relatively easy, except for... no, wait, no, never mind. No, it's Crystal Sword Cecil still. I think the interesting question to me at this point is, what do you do on microKorgs' side character-wise? What improves this party? I gotta think the only thing he might be looking for at this point in time would be an edge.
I mean, I think the only thing that improves this party is second Cecil. We can't have that. It's no dupes.
It's actually an interesting second thing being brought up in chat too with that Supersmith weapon. If he finds that Adamant Rock, what are you hoping for in this case? Because you already have that Crystal Sword. Do you kind of want a weapon that you can equip to Kain instead, where you already have Kain? And that's one of the interesting things about this Cecil hero thing to me, is that he has weapons that can make other characters better very, very, very muchly as well.
Yeah, second sits a character blank. Ogopogo's just fine here, except you're really worn down from that first fight. But Cecil's alive.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think he's going to get a second swing in here. Well then, that was not threatening at all. Meanwhile, Advocate getting into this Octomam fight here. He's, well, Tella's down already. That could be a little bit of a problem here in getting those Berserks up. Well, there's key item number 9. And it just looked like Korgs is just going to head down here straight for key item number 10 at this point in time, having gotten that rat tail out of the dwarf castle check, meaning that it is time to see what's in this chest and hopefully hit 10 key items, and then question mark, question mark, question mark.
Then level as much as you dang well please and hopefully find some objectives and kill Zeromus. I don't know. We'll see what the boss down here is. It is important. We do need to know. Korgs is skipping boxes down here because, you know, he knows that he's reached the end of his looting line here. Dragoon Armor is our freebie item here, though. So not a key item, but hey, it's a Dragoon Armor.
Armor is armor, I guess, in this case. I think another interesting question, you know, we've noted the Crystal Sword. We've talked about stopping looting. Is there a point where you're in microKorgs' shoes where you don't necessarily even care as much about doing a full-on grind, and you consider just doing something really quick, like maybe just do the behemoths and Cave Bahamut, do a few doors on your way down Luca or something like that, and just get that little tiny boost of XP and use the power from that Crystal Sword, not really scaling your physical attackers off of levels to just push through without doing a longer level grind like Advocate might be tempted to do with that Palom.
He could do both. He could do Dorhemoths. He probably wouldn't do both. He'd probably go up to the moon and do the 3 behemoths in Bahamut Cave, honestly, because once you have 10 key items, they're 110k experience apiece once you've got 10 key items, and that's really good. And 330 would be more than enough to get Rosa, Cure 4, and Cecil and Kane enough levels to feel comfortable probably taking the Scissoromus and just doing a Rosa, Cecil, Kane plus whatever your Tela chips in and whatever your Sid chips in.
Now, we talked earlier about what bosses you would not want to see at King, and how do you feel about Good King Pain Man down there at the bottom of Famer?
Hey, I like experience points. You know, do you like experience points? Because I like experience points. If we get some levels in this party, Kane, Cecil, and Sid are all very good candidates for not dying.
Definitely. I do think it changes the grind sort of calculations a little bit, though, and that you now really do want those levels for that HP to live through that spot. So maybe it's sort of like no longer an I can skip a grind part and more a, well, I guess I need to do a bit of a grind part. But we'll see if we can get to 10th key item with this rat tail turn in here.
Advocate's underground. 10th key item is obtained, though. We do have a package, so it is a character check. I think Korgs is going to be disincentivized from making that check, given his party circumstance being pretty good.
I gotta think if you peek it, you're really only hoping for an edge, and there's not really much of a point in hoping for an edge right now. It looks like he is just going to head back underground, maybe just do these other checks, get them out of the way. And he's parked in front of the tower, so I think that's the next stop here.
Yeah, it's big tower party time. He's, again, like we mentioned, and I kind of did allude to, not interested in the moon or having anything to do with it, given all of the key items that have already fallen out on Earth.
Answering the question from chat of who is at top of tower, between a quarter and 1 leg is at the top of tower at the moment.
Everyone loves some random amount of leg.
Exactly. We know that there is some amount, we're just not sure how much yet. And this super cannon room is the most annoying thing to find in the super cannon room, in my opinion, because it is laughing time.
So wait, we're fighting Titus from Final Fantasy X?
I mean, with all that armor, we've never confirmed that Golbez isn't Titus from Final Fantasy X. I just want that to be noted here, is that underneath that suit of armor, you could just hear that echoing Titus laughter just... what's the word I'm looking for? Projecting its way out into the super cannon room here. So that is my new headcanon at this point in time. And the after years does not exist.
And of course, though, Alchemy mentions we've never seen Golbez and Titus in the same room. You haven't played Dissidia. They've definitely been in the same room together. They're probably not the same person. But they probably learned to laugh from one another.
But Dissidia Opera Omnia proves that you can have two versions of the same person within the Dissidia universe existing in the same area at the same time, although you can't have them in the same party.
So what you're saying is, oh god, that did 1200 damage!
Oh, did he try the Dark Knight Cecil fight?
He sure did!
I mean, that's very useful knowledge for him. At least now he knows how much HP he needs to live through that, and that's really, really good knowledge thing. I mean, Korgs either doesn't know that or might already have that knowledge just in his head already. So if Korgs doesn't know that, and Advocate knows exactly how much he needs for that spot, that could be a little bit of an advantage there.
Certainly doesn't hurt to know.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a bit of the difference in confidence that a Crystal Sword gives you at this point, where Korgs is like, I don't need this free Sheila 1 check right now. I'm just going to keep going through everything underground because I can just swing away and it'll be fine. But Advocate, going more for that freebie focus thing, went down to the Feymarch already, presumably picked up that rat tail while he was down there, setting up Sheila 1 now, likely going to go up and check that.
It is pretty wild seeing Korgs just put the pedal down at this point, though. He has been really, really putting on a show at this point in time. Advocate's been playing very well as well. Now finally remembering Miss Dragon. Unfortunate that he didn't remember it earlier. But, like, Korgs has been really putting it down this time. It's really, really been a great race, but Korgs has just been dominant so far.
Yeah, and I just want to correct myself real quick. Rat Tail was at Dwarf Castle, not at Feymarch. I got my wires sort of crossed there a little bit. But Advocate has now remembered to go back and check that demist, picking up the Earth Crystal. Maybe he's going to go ahead and go back and check that while he's up here. So he might have that chance at picking up that Crystal Sword. And we'll have the chance at getting that Darkness Crystal as well. You know, maybe there's a world in which this pays out for Advocate too, you know?
It's possible. You never know, certainly. It could potentially work out okay.
Yeah, if Korgs has gone through all of this and then it ends up being everything's on the moon, then that could put Advocate back in the driver's seat as long as he heads to the moon right away, which is something that he might consider doing if he suddenly lucks into a Crystal Sword. But it's going to pick up, hey, there's that Sand Ruby. I think we're getting an edge at this point.
Edge is a really good get right now. Do we have edge weapons is also being asked. We've got a longsword and there's mute knives for sale here in Fabul, so we should be fine.
Yeah, we've even seen a full moon for back rowing him too, so we should be in pretty good shape overall. I think also importantly, with this really heavily underground focused thing, and where we've already got sort of slingshot off the table a little bit, because anyone you would want a slingshot on either side is already caught up in the levels. Those eggs are looking way more appealing than they did before too. Like, I would be very tempted to just say goodbye, Tella. I'm gonna go crack some eggs now.
Oh, now Advocate is finally gonna see this, and he's gonna see the word crystal pop up on his screen many times. That third one is the one that's gonna make him sad, though. The first two, maybe not so much.
Yeah, I guess, you know, it's not the worst situation in the world, but it is a little bit rough. Again, there are ways in which he can get sort of back into this a little bit, and it really just depends on where he goes from here at this point. One thing pointed out by our restreamer Solaris in chat is that if he gets that edge, he has about 300 darts to throw at the moment. Well, you know how we were mentioning the Avenger might be a good thing to get from the pink tail.
Yeah, well, it wasn't from the pink tail, but that tower key, baby. Holy Sword Avenger now. What's your favorite weapon in this game? Because if you've got a favorite weapon in this game, these two fine runners have it. They definitely have it. It's definitely in their inventory. Unless you're me and your favorite weapon is Life Staff. Sure.
My favorite is actually the Piggy Sword, which we still have a chance at, so we'll see.
That's not in vanilla.
Or are we only counting? If we're only counting vanilla, I'm not really committed to any of it, but I am going to say Blitz Whip just to be arbitrary. My true favorite vanilla weapon is actually Middle Sword because its name is hilarious to me.
The retranslation was pretty wild.
What did they even turn Middle Sword into when they actually translated this again? Because I don't remember at this point in time.
Oh, they went to Asura Katetsu for the Pixel remaster, so they went to the Japanese names.
Right, I remember now, which is, I mean, I guess it's more accurate, but it is less entertaining than Middle Sword.
I forget what the long sword is. I forget what the order is, and I just know that the ninja sword is the Kiki Ichimonji because it's the cherry blossom blade, which I butchered. I butchered the pronunciation of that one, by the way, but you know.
Chat saying Kunai Ashura Katetsu, which makes sense at this point in time. But we are going to see Korgs go and pick up his edge here. Interested to see who he drops off for edge.
Possibly Sid, so he has got double Zerker, triple fighter, and then go steal a bunch of sirens until he's comfortable, and then just do Zerker strats on Zeromus. Nope, it's gonna be Tella. I'm wrong.
Yeah, the way I see it, there's two branches you could make here. It's the double Zerker, triple fighter, or you take edge and you commit to going and stealing Bacchus wine somewhere as well, and just try and get enough of those that you don't miss the second Berserker. I'm not sure which one would end up being faster in this case, though. Oh, right, he has an Avenger. Sorry, I'm still on. He has a Crystal Sword. I haven't gotten to Avenger yet mentally.
We're still coming to grips with the power level of this party. It's pretty high.
This is like a Lolly-Ho League Swiss flags party missing a Fusoya at this point in time, honestly.
A lot of the time, and this is one of the great difficulties of free enterprise, is it's not just how much power you get in a seed, but it's how you wield that party and that power to you know, embarrass literally everything in your path.
Absolutely, and I say this a lot when I'm talking about this with people, is that there's a skill level involved in difficult seeds, but there's also a ton of skill really involved in optimizing, to the point where I almost feel like these sort of really power overwhelming seeds in some ways tend to actually show off runner skill a bit more than those really difficult puzzle seeds where it's really just who comes to the solution first, which, while it's still a skill, is a completely different one.
Well, Korgs cashes out the 2 sirens he's got just for some levels on edge to help the stealing rate, and has then decided, I don't think that's enough. I'm gonna go grab some more. Probably like maybe 5 or 6, maybe 12. I don't know.
There is one minor thing that's worrying me on Korgs' side that I just noticed as I looked at his inventory and finally saw words that weren't Avenger or Crystal there, is that he is down to only 1 life potion left, so he's going to need to restock on that probably at some point in time, just for extra safety.
Please help me, my party is dying. 1 life potion, 9 holy swords.
Can't you just hit them harder instead?
That has been kind of the plan, hasn't it?
Oh, does Charm Arrows give confuse, and did Rosa just confuse Sid by aiming at him while trying to knock off the party here?
Correct. It's great. And now it is time for Cecil to betray everybody and obtain his true form, Golbez, in your party. At Rivers McCown, hashtag feedback and ideas.
Playable Golbez whose attacks hit everyone. Let's make it happen here. We're causing problems on purpose.
I can't believe how much trouble I'm going to get in.
You can blame me for it, it's fine. Advocate is going to head up to the moon here, though. Having gotten that Darkness Crystal out of that Tower of Zotchek, so he'll be heading up soon. I wonder if he's actually going to start clearing moon spots, because this could be the real thing that decides this game at this point in time.
You do realize that we are an hour and 2 minutes into this, and you know what buttons haven't been clicked there? Those 1 through 5 orbs. We haven't seen any of them get lit up yet.
Oh yeah, when this seed happens, it's going to happen all at once. It's going to be like, suddenly, over the course of 2 minutes, they find Wyvern at Cave Bahamut, head back down, take down that Dark Knight Cecil, already have the pan in hand when they get there, and it'll just be all 4 light up at once, and then we'll head straight into the Z fight. So I feel like we're late into the seed, but at the same time, I feel like once the seed really starts getting going, it's going to go extremely fast.
Not that this seed has not already gone exceptionally swiftly. But yeah, Korgs is feeling I think Korgs is just generally feeling pretty good right now. I'm gonna tent up, patch up the party real quick, and then I'm gonna tear through the rest of these eggs, and that's his grind right here, right? Just pop off these sirens, and then he's done. Then let's go to the moon, quickly clear out Cave Bahamut, maybe dip in there looking for the adamant rock, and then it's all over. But screaming at that point, as this roller coaster ride continues to go downhill faster and faster.
I think the only thing that Korgs might do in addition to that is he might decide to run down and check that Luca key just before he heads up to the moon, drop a save outside, save scum it, because that's the only thing left for him underground at this point outside of the pan bonk leading into Sheila 2. And so if he doesn't find that pan, he doesn't want to leave anything necessarily underground at this point. Oh, right. Pain Man's a thing, too. I keep forgetting he exists, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he's not that scary. He only hits for, 1,300 a wave. It's fine.
Yeah, I think we're almost to the point where Sid can survive, too. So as long as he just gets a chance to throw a single potion, then he's through that fight. And it might be time to consider just heading straight through. But he is going to keep popping some eggs here at this point.
Yeah, puts the Assassin Dagger on edge here to try and get a swoon proc out of it. Does not. Advocate's at the top of the tower taking on this Rubicant whose magic power is roughly 1. So it's having mostly a good time, I think.
This is one of those spots that's not a threat, but is still annoying because it has a ton of HP. But he also has Crystal Sword Cecil, so nothing has HP in front of Crystal Sword Cecil, and Palom swinging Quakes, and Kane is there.
Yeah, you're right, though. I haven't had to say Crystal Sword Cecil this much since Lolly Ho League.
I loved those flags. They're some of my favorite flags that I've ever played in this game, but they kind of were oops all crystal swords in that particular case.
Yeah, no, fun flags for sure, as are all the flags that we ever create, because all the flags we create are good and fun and interesting and lead to cool decisions and difficult plays. Life Staff was on top, so I'm making a liar out of myself, chat. If you wanted a Life Staff and that's your favorite weapon in the game, there it was.
We even found a middle sword to make my pointless, arbitrary comments not valid either, which I'm still kind of mad about, honestly.
All right, chat, your commentary team is salty and logging off. Bye.
Good luck. Good luck, kids. You're going to have to drive yourself to school. Anyways, Korgs is heading back down for this Darknet Cecil fight, which can't really pose much of a threat to him at this point, but it'll be interesting to see what the item reward is and whether or not the item reward even matters, because what could you possibly want that would drop out of that? Maybe a white shirt?
Probably a white shirt, honestly.
I fought King Pain Man at the bottom of Fame Arch, and all I got was this t-shirt as the current best option. Really says a lot about this particular party at the moment. Edge weapons too, I guess.
Yeah, I would totally love to see I would love to see a Murasame here. Just gonna throw a Cure 3, use Edge to throw Cure 3s, or to throw a Cure 3 at Sid. Sid will now survive 2 more shots. We're done, we're good, we're nice, we're out. Cecil will get some more experience because he's our hero. His heroism is duly noted. Maybe we even life potion Rosa because we like making sure Rosa has extra experience. I don't know. Decides not to.
I think he's probably heading to the moon from here and probably thinks that he'll get enough experience out of clearing moon spots to not need to worry about it. Also, again, might not have life potions left.
Oh yeah, what's a life potion? I think he's out. Yeah, everyone's mentioning he's out. I just look at his inventory and rearranging. He's out. That's a Stardust Rod. Sure, why not?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I guess we've had the best weapons we can get for everyone but Edge at this point, so might as well keep adding to it. I mean, maybe you could get like a defense sword or a white spear for Kane, but that's about it. And hey, we got our first objective an hour and 8 minutes in.
Go team, we're on our way.
Looks like he is going to, at very least, peek Luca at this point in time. Just gonna drop his cabin here and likely drop a save, go down and check, and then come back out. But I don't know. There's not much left in this seed outside of those terminal spots for key items at this point in time. Really, the only rabbit holes left are Luca and Baron at this point. So you got to think that any check that he gets could be that one check that sort of puts him in go mode-ish, because he needs to find that Wyvern still or find 2 key items.
Yeah, Advocate finishes up the tower and wanders on out. Here, enjoy your box. It's full of chocolate and not explosives. No, that one's the Avenger. I forgot where the box was. I'm getting all confused.
I think the box was... I don't remember either. Box was Rat Tail, right?
Right, box was Rat Tail.
Which is an interesting trade when you think about it. I'm just gonna sit here in my cave and wait for someone to bring me a rat tail and then just hand them a crate full of explosives in return, which just really shows that we ought to regulate fireworks stores in this particular universe a little bit heavier in this case, because you can't just be handing them off to anyone who brings you a rat tail.
Look, I mean, all you need is a key for TNT in Final Fantasy 1. They just love handing out explosives left and right.
Basically what we're saying is that the King of Elfheim is deeply irresponsible. We're gonna see what's at this Luca check now as Advocate heads into this Odin fight. It's a spoon. That's not particularly exciting. He'll probably check the boss, but this is looking like it might be something to reset out of.
If it's Wyvern, we get a dart for Zeromus, which kind of is nice, but we'll see. I picked the wrong moon boss. Should have had Plague.
I mean, I guess if you see a Sparkle, it's a higher chance that it's Wyvern. But also, if you see a boss at this point in time in microKorgs' side, you're fighting it anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, Advocate's now going to cruise on through Dwarf Castle here, so just getting caught up on these checks down here in the underground right now.
And, there's still plenty of room for him to catch up a little bit. He's a bit behind at the moment, but if he gets that way up a little bit and, say, microKorgs does a bottom-up moon play, Advocate does a top-down moon play and hits on something for go mode that a little bit quicker, this could close the gap really quickly, or the other way around.
Advocate abandons Tella here for Sid, I guess kind of understanding that the levels are not going to be coming from D-Machine grinding. He doesn't know that Edge is out there waiting for him at the Sand Ruby, but I guess if he's figuring, I guess I got a Holy Sword Cecil, I'm just going to go do Behemoths or something later.
Yeah, and that could be another thing that helps him gain a little bit of time back, too, if he decides to not really do a traditional level grind and just do those few behemoths, and that gets him enough levels. He's at least going to have made up that time that microKorgs spent stealing sirens, doing all those eggs and like that, even if he's still a bit ahead at this point.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Okay.
You didn't freeze all the cake, right?
Maybe.
Because guess what microKorgs has to do?
Oh, they both have to go to... This is the problem when... This is why, by the way, if you're one of those people who's like fashionably late to parties, I don't like you. Because by the time you show up, I'm like sitting here thinking, well, no one's showing up to this. I might as well just throw everything back in. But he is going to be heading back to Troy at this point, maybe doing a bit of shopping, looking for those life potions before he heads to the moon.
What do you mean he has no life potions?
Well, now he has 30 of them and 30 Cure 3, so I think he's set for the rest of the seed here.
Yeah, that was really important. You never want to have 0 life potions. You always want to have a handful. It's why, like, shop cabins is, like, one of the nastier flags in Mystery and in Catalyte flags, because it's like, oh, I can't just go buy a pile of life potions. Oh, that's bad.
I'm just interested in where these life potions are, and if they are anywhere other than that sort of past shop in Troya, because I feel like that's the only place I've seen them, and that's a really sort of mean place to put them if you're trying to hide them somewhere.
I think Korgs did, like, literally 0 shopping, honestly.
That is fair. Where we've been going, we haven't really needed shops outside of that. It's like, this has been handing you everything except the groceries, and now we just need to do that little bit of shopping, and we're good. Is going to go ahead and undamage that Rosa and sort of convert her into a white mage at this point. So I think he's pretty confident in his endgame setup now. Although I think he left the heroin robe on, so I guess that and life staff cancel each other out now.
Yeah, exactly. You know, not looking for big heals, just looking for, like, direct cast Cure 4s or whatever. Advocate found that package and reset out of it, so chose not to take it from the dwarves, and is now going to check Luca Cave, where he's probably going to reset out as well. Korg's going to give us a look at the cave. Bahamut boss, it is Mylan and buddies. While they're not specifically weak to the Crystal Sword, I heard the Crystal Sword is a good weapon.
Yeah, but... See, if I had leftovers, I was going to give it to them. Now what?
All right, look, I'll run out to the store and get some chips and dip. It's fine.
Perfect. All right, so he shouldn't have too much of a problem getting through this Mylon and Friends fight at all. This is a little bit weird in terms of not having the AoE damage to take down those gas right away, unless I guess you could flame off of Edge, but that might not even be that useful at this point. So we'll see how long this takes, but this is a pretty safe fight either way.
Yeah, double Avengers, double Berserkers, 1 Avenger and 1 Holy Sword is going to be more than enough damage here, and you just can kind of sit it out for the rest of it.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I've noticed over on Advocate of Doom side as he's heading down to his Luca Cave check is I don't believe he dropped a save outside, so I think he's committed to taking this spoon back out.
He's been working off of a save he made right after finishing Dwarf Castle and getting the Rat Tail. So basically what he's going to do is he's going to reset back to Dwarf Castle here.
That does make sense. I didn't notice that save, so that's good. That means that he's not going to waste all that time on Spoon and other things, and he'll have a pretty easy way up to the moon at this point. I think he's really only got Sheila left to check at this point, or maybe nothing.
Yeah, he's just going to head on up, it looks like. So it looks like Advocate's going to be just chasing the moon here as well. I mean, we both know it's correct, and Advocate really hasn't done an awful lot that Korgs hasn't, other than, you know, Korgs having the levels to deal with Dark Knight Cecil, where Advocate still needs to kind of get his experience, and that could be a little troublesome. Still didn't ever check the Kaipo bed, so never knew that Edge was there for him, which is also just going to be like another kind of turning point in the seed. It's really tough when, you know, when your opponent makes two really important checks way earlier than you and gets paid off on both of them.
I think it leads to an interesting question about Advocate's strategy here, is where he has 10 key items. He knows that he has that crystal sword he can leverage through. A lot of those difficult bosses like Keinatsu, Baigen, all them are out of the way. He might just be thinking, you know what? These moon bosses will probably give me enough XP to get through this seed anyways. Palom might not be useful at the end game just because he might not get to nuke, but I kind of like this play because I think it's really just deciding to leverage that power that he has in order to avoid most grinds altogether. He's going to take a couple behemoths, so.
Yeah, he's going to have to decide how he wants to lay his party out for this, or if he wants to set up with blinks or whatnot, but I love this grind. I don't know if I love this grind quite as much as Doors, but this grind's up there for me.
I mean, this grind is kind of like, it's kind of like Doors if Doors were some sort of lion dog, really. Sort of the same concept in the end. It's just these hit harder.
Yeah, these hit really hard. The only nice thing is that, you know, we talk about having bad agility all this time, right? That your agility is always a little bit off on these because of Sea Hero, or in this case, you know, having Cecil as well. Except the nice thing is that Behemoth is extremely slow, and all it otherwise does is counters, so you could just sit here and set up some blinks and get your party protected so that you don't die in a horrendous manner to claws and teeth. See, look at that miss. Look at that. Does 0 damage.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty safe fight and a safe grind. The only concern I have is that this might take a while, just because he is having to throw out those blinks ahead of time. It's still doing 4,000 damage a swing, so it won't take a ton of time, but it is still a little bit rough in the meanwhile. Does have that cover on Cecil at this point to just go ahead and keep Sid and Palom and Rosa all still perfectly safe. Meanwhile, over on microKorgs' side, he's found a free boss at this first altar doing that top-down moon play.
Probably just going to damage race it at this point, honestly. Like, let's be real here. This party's pretty powerful. First Behemoth down, you can see everyone's gaining about 6 levels. Sid's getting a bit of a mini slingshot here, gets a dozen levels here. So we're going to pile on some levels here. Everyone's in the upper 30s now, well, mid to upper 30s for Advocate, which is kind of nice. So going to catch up some experience pretty quickly here. Hey, those are Berserkers, Bahamut. They're just going to hit you real hard, and then you're going to give us a key item, right?
I think he should have the damage to take this down before the count, but he is going to throw up the safety wall onto Cecil at this point in time just to make sure he gets through, which, I mean, you might as well play it safe at this point.
Yeah, don't mess around. Just make sure that if you have to reflect to finish the job, the damage race isn't going so well. It's great. God, that was 5,556 damage, though. Cecil's like insulted that you went for a safety strat and just decides to kill Bahamut outright.
Yeah, and he's actually already so good on levels that also gave him white on Rosa. So he's good for the Z fight at this point. Does get that crystal ring, which could come in handy for some agility shenanigans later. I'm not sure if that ever ends up being worthwhile for adjusting Cecil's agility in terms of how he is as hero.
I mean, at level 45, Cecil's at 28 agility, and so it would take you a while to get another 9 agility on Cecil. At that point, you'd have to be at like level 56, I think.
Yeah, so I would think maybe... Is he above level 45 at this point? I have not looked at his actual levels here.
I mean, Rose is 52, so Cecil's got to be in that same range as well. So there's a chance he could get all the way to 56 and then put the crystal ring on Cecil for 42 agility. Hey, another Avenger! We got an Avenger from the Behemoth! What the world is going on, and why are we here right now?
Well, if you wanted the, absolute best thing that could happen to you as you're going through this right now, that's on Advocate's side at this point, because He has 2 Avengers now. He doesn't need that. He doesn't need Berserk where we're going. He can just drop an Avenger on both of them, glitch them up, and just go straight into doing damage at this point.
This seed, though.
Welcome to the 2021 Supermarket Sweep Flag Set Invitationals here. We're continuing onward with this double Avenger Crystal Sword Dragoon Spear party.
Oh, it's a gauntlet! Oh, microKorgs immediately mashes the reset button because he's not interested in sitting through a gauntlet.
This is I mean, nothing's particularly difficult for this party, but this is not a party you want to see a gauntlet on because it's all single target damage, so you might as well do everything else. And there's the Wyvern hiding here at White Spear Altar. We are 1 key item away from go mode.
Decided to duck a little bit further downstairs, I guess. Big chillin', trying to avoid these multiple crystal sword, Avenger, Dragoon Spear, Rune Axe. Like, I don't know. We're weapons, many weapons. Magnet was. What's that?
Chat sort of hovering around here that Pan and Adamant at Ribbon Room is the best option now.
Yeah, that's about all that we could hope for, right? Magnet was the fire off, and it hit only Edge. So I guess we don't care, and now it is time for us to just destroy Wyvern in dishonorable 5-on-1 combat.
Yeah, I mean, he never stood a chance in this case. Even there's not many things that could be cast off of that Witchburn flag that could be particularly scary at this point to this party.
It's glance. It's literally just glance, I think.
It's a gapple.
Yeah, Solaris is noting, yes, the Avenger is the 1 in 64 drop.
That is the least exciting apple I've ever seen, by the way.
Yeah, it's just kind of there. It's like, so you're not an Avenger, you're not an Artemis Bow, not a Life Staff, white shirt, power shirt. No, just a silver apple? Weird.
Yeah, and even like when we get to the Z fight, it's gonna take a really spicy high roll big bang to knock out anyone in this party anyway, so you don't even get that little benefit of having that bit of extra padding.
Advocate's rolling up on the LST now, so making some good ground here, certainly. Did pick up a bunch of experience from there. Like, ends up picking up like 15 levels from Cave Bahamut, so that probably worked out exactly the way that he expected it to, doing the no grind here.
Here's the big question I have on Advocate's side as we go through this elements at Ogo Pogo, which is not particularly welcome on microKorgs' side. But over on Advocate's side, you have that Palom. You have a source of AoE damage if you want it. If you see that gauntlet and you feel a bit behind, do you risk trying to get through that because you think your opponent hasn't had it? But there's the Adamant, and that would be the wrong decision if he goes with that.
He might go with it, but he's going to start at the top too, so he's going to see this Bahamut first. He's going to do everything pretty much the same way Korgs has done it, probably. Which is great and all, except when you're 4.5 or 5 minutes behind, that's not really ideal, sadly. But yeah, microKorgs gets his Adamant Rock to go with his Wyvern kill, to go with his Cave Bahamut finish, to go with his trophy he received from Dark Knight Cecil. He's done. He's going home. He's got to come back. We've got coffee for him, right?
I think so. I'll bring a pot.
Yeah, thanks. You should probably go. Yeah. We're going to brew another pot of coffee for him, because so when he comes back, he'll be ready.
Absolutely, because this seed was like... It's really weirdly laid out, right? It's like it'll give you all the power at the start, and then it'll still take an hour and a half to get your objectives done because they're so projected back to the very end of the seed.
It'd be really funny if we got a Caliburn here, by the way. you know it'll be a Lightbringer because of how this seed has basically been the most generous thing I've ever seen. But it'll be really funny when this is a Caliburn.
I'm not even 100% sure that Lightbringer is the best option here if you can land something stronger for Kane, although I guess it's better on Advocate's side where he has double Avengers. But there's a lot of good options even beyond Lightbringer at this point that I still would think this seed is being way too generous to me if I got it.
Yo, you want some T-shirts? You want some? I forged this garbage sword, and all I got were all of these T-shirts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, sure. And there's a defense sword if you need another upgrade for Kane, and it is Caliburn.
Nailed it.
Oh boy, isn't that exciting? Where you equip the Caliburn just to teach the seed a lesson at this point in time. Like, you know what? Challenge accepted.
Gilgamesh. I guess this is Final Fantasy V!
Exactly. We really are Final Fantasy V now. Callbacks, continuity. There we are. Caliburn, to answer the question in chat, is useless, is the best way of putting it.
It's a piece of garbage. It's got 1 attack power, can only be equipped by Cecil, and does nothing. It is the weapon that you get from the Lunar Ruins for Cecil if you do not do his scenario correctly. I.e., you decide to not be the biggest hero that ever heroed and heroed by heroing. So it's a weapon from the GBA version for Cecil.
And that's why it's in the Super Forge pool.
Yep. But
no one said that Super Smith had to be good, really.
I mean, Cecil's already got Holy Sword, so it's hilarious to see the blanks pop out for him. It's great. But Advocate's going down to the bottom of the moon to go and chase up the last of these bosses. He'll get his go mode basically down here. He'll do Wyvern. He'll do... Assuming he goes down to Ogopogo spot, he'll get his Adamant Rock as well. microKorgs is also headed back down to the core. But he's headed down to the core for a little bit of a different reason, I believe.
I think so. First of all, the real reason to go to the core is, of course, because it has those wonderful glass-tiled floors, and it really just is a marvel of architecture. Like, if you ever get a chance to go to the core yourself, I really recommend it. That's why I like when we do these moon broadcasts, because it's like going to visit the Louvre when you're in Paris, really. But also, there's that Z flag thing, I guess, which we should talk about. Which, you know, you can't move Zeromus around. Zeromus is happy where he is. He's got his nice little home with a nice balcony and a view, and he doesn't want to move. We don't want to move him because he's really scary as a boss. So we randomize his appearance instead, and there's over 500 different sprites that it can pull from. So that does lead to a very important question once we actually get down to that fight, as he's just doing these final few adjustments to actually get ready for that fight.
But yeah, you know, Zeromus, on the other hand, though, is a collector of the finer things in life. It is spooky season. It's the middle of September, let's be real. Zeromus does have a lot of costumes in his closet. You never know what he's going to dress up as this time around. You don't know if you're going to get tricks or treat. He's probably going to throw candy at your forehead. But most importantly, of course, we're going to find out whose butt we are going to kick this evening.
Exactly. And if he's that much of a, like, I'm glad you bring that up, because after you defeat Zeromus in this particular randomizer, does that mean that it just sort of leaves that area empty? And does that mean that probably, given a month from now, the center of the moon at some point in time will contain a Spirit Halloween store?
I'm out.
There's your idea for the next Z Sprite Skull.
Hashtag feedback and ideas at Scala Spirit Halloween as a Zeromus boss. However, speaking of which, you did state that Advocate might decide to make the gamble on this gauntlet here, and he is actually in the middle of the gauntlet right now, picking up a ton of experience, killing a ton of enemies, and so he'll have more levels than he knows what to do with as well.
Definitely, and this still could, I guess pan out is the proper term here, and also a pun, because if he gets exactly the pan from this, then as long as he checks the White Spear right after, he'll still be in go mode. He has a little bit of a longer path, and he won't get that wonderful Caliburn sword that is so useful. But he should be on his way anyways. And even if he doesn't get it, like that Elements is right down there.
But yeah, true colors and all, here we go. It's party time, and who we got? From the acclaimed RPG Final Fantasy XIV, now free through level 60 with the Heavensward expansion, it's Ruby Weapon.
I guess he's also in 7 too, but 14 is the one I remember. And this is a great Halloween costume, because I know that Ruby Weapon model really haunts my nightmares, because I still haven't figured out why it has teeth.
I don't want to think about that.
I don't want to think about that either, so microKorgs is not going to have a difficult fight to get through this Zeromus fight. We are in full-on power overwhelming mode, and we have been before we even got underground. So at this point in time, it really just is this bit of a victory lap, and as long as nothing goes suddenly wrong, then we should be fine.
Even nerfing Big Bang 1 with the Silk Web just in case. Cecil's hitting for, Cecil's solidly hitting for 6k here. Doing Dart the Caliburn. Do it. Oh, he's not going to do it.
Are we even going to see Big Bang 2 with this party?
I mean, we're getting the Zerks up a little slowly. If we had Bacchus Wines, I'd immediately tell you absolutely not. It's just that getting the Zerks up is going to be slow here, and probably not even going to Zerk up Edge or Sid here. Also, he's kind of out of darts, which kind of stinks, so probably not going to happen. Advocates through this gauntlet. Key to Baron, key to Magma. Those don't count. Not quite what you want to see there, but hey, he gave us what we wanted. And unfortunately, it did not pay off, and he's in kind of a trouble spot here, as we all know here, because, you could see on the right side what's happening right now.
Yeah, it's always a shame when you try and take a gamble like that, and it turns out that the random gauntlet at the Riven Room didn't turn out to be your key to success there, instead just being your key to Baron and your key to a place you've already been before.
Yep, Pan's behind key of Baron for chat, which makes logical sense here. Advocate's gonna find Wyvern here, so is now gonna be almost at go mode. Gonna equip those Avengers. Gonna watch his Sid. Oh man, that's not great. Watching his Kane get stopped, which isn't great. Gonna berserk the Sid. Gonna equip the second Avenger on Cecil, and this fight's over too.
Absolutely, this is not particularly threatening. It has also been pointed out that we did not actually see what was at the Crystal Sword altar, so we could still have a pan there too, but it's kind of academic at this point, because I really think Advocate will just head down to that Ogopogo spot and be right behind microKorgs, who is now just hitting Big Bang 2, I believe, over on his side. Oh yeah, this is not even close.
Cecil very casually swinging for like 7k at this point.
Swinging for 7k, fully berserked, not really in any danger anywhere along the way. I think we're gonna see rocks very soon, if at all. Although we are gonna get that black hole, which will slow things down a tiny bit here.
Yeah, it's a little weird how it works with Avenger, but Cecil's gonna get a weaker swing because you don't get the attack bonus at this point. But the Resurk, once you take a turn, the Resurk happens, and then it's fine. And you get the additional 50% attack power. Not even healing here, just Resurking Kane as well. Nuke comes out, so we're in the middle of phase 2 still here. Probably going to cast a Cure 4 for possible Big Bang safety, and then finish it, and then put the controller down.
Absolutely, and at this point in time, even like a combo platter doesn't seem particularly scary at this point. I think he's pretty much through this, Advocate going to now be heading down to this Ogopogo altar to get his final, second to last objective. He still has to go back down to the bottom of Feymarch and take down that Dark Knight Cecil. But hey, microKorgs is through. We're not even going to see rocks today.
Ends up having to tough it out in a game 3 for sure, but showed off why he is the 12 seed. A pretty solid win all the way around. Probably just generally a little bit better and a little bit faster, step by step through this entire seed. So I think a well-deserved victory for sure.
And speaking of which, I believe we are joined by the winner of both today's match and this best of 3 microKorgs. GG's on your victory today.
Thank you so much, Enth. Yeah, pretty excited. The hook route didn't take me down. I piloted well. There were no enterprise bombs, and I never needed to use that dragon whip. So all around, pretty good seed.
Absolutely, and I want to ask your thoughts on this seed because this seed was very friendly in terms of equipment, and I want to know how much that sort of played into your way you approached it in terms of, considering what you needed to do to level grind, if really much at all, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, before the Earth Crystal, I had one thought, and that was, all right, how am I going to set up to go kind of run through Castle Evelyn and look for a Crystal Sword? And then the Earth Crystal dropped into my lap, and all other thoughts kind of left. I just wanted to keep going. The one thing, if I had ended up not winning this, that I would have regretted is, the Crystal Sword could have potentially opened up the moon at lower levels, and obviously 2 important pieces of Go mode at least were up there. So, but yeah, once you have the Crystal Sword, I just wanted to keep going as fast as I could, get through all the checks, decided even to take that early harp just in case.
And sort of following along with that in terms of early decisions, your party composition, taking the Sid, Edge, Rosa, Cecil, Kane setup, what led your decisions in terms of coming to that as your final conclusion for how you're going to run this seed?
Once the Crystal Sword was there, I really didn't want to commit to any kind of giant grind, and I peaked the Sand Ruby Edge, and the seed was so generous with key items, except for obviously the ones we needed, which are on the moon or through a moon chain. So we had the 10 key items pretty quickly, and I was pretty excited when I saw, I think Sheila 1 had the Sand Ruby, and then basically I knew, all right, let's just get through DKC, and then go to the moon, see what's up.
Absolutely. And another question I want to ask about, sort of going way back to the start, you were very much committed to not going to Fabul for as long as possible. Was there ever a situation in which you would have considered maybe trying to go up and sneak a peek at some of those moon bosses before heading down that hook route, or were you going to Fabul first before that, obviously? Or was that just always a situation where you're going to be like, okay, I still need to get underground first?
Yeah, 3 of the objectives required underground access, and the king at the Town of Monster objective could, of course, be Wyvern and be a double, so I would kind of prioritize that for sure. And the only reason I kind of faded for Bull was I felt the party at that point could take ordeals, and I wanted a paladin as soon as I could possibly have a paladin. So with Kane to get through any potential Val and the Black Sword on Cecil, I figured it would be doable, and obviously with the Baron guards in the back, that kind of worked out pretty nicely.
Absolutely. Is there really there's not really much that you could have hoped for in terms of this seed, but I want to sort of look back a little bit and look forward a little bit here. You're obviously through this best of 3. You're on to the round of 32. What are your thoughts going forward from here for the rest of the tournament?
My thoughts are I'm terrified of everyone else, and I'm terrified of AdvocateOfDoom, so definitely GG AOD. I didn't know AOD very well until I started seeing his name in the qualifiers, and obviously he made the top 64, so he is a good runner who knows what he's doing, and I'm sure if he keeps playing, he'll continue to make brackets and score wins. He definitely he pushed me to the limit here, and he beat me in the first one. I won the second one by like a minute or two. And then I won this one, so yeah, really challenging, and yeah, looking forward. I want to put, I don't know, sunglasses on. No, maybe a blindfold. Sunglasses aren't enough. It's just everyone's terrifying that remains.
Definitely. And I think that's about all I had for questions. Demi, did you have anything you wanted to ask microKorgs today?
No, that was a great race. It's the kind of showing off why you're the 12 seed was really nice, but what are you gonna have to do next week? Like, if you play like this, are you gonna be unbeatable because you ran through this seed like it wasn't even there?
I mean, I guess if you give me a crystal sword in the first 15-20 minutes, I can put up a good fight. We'll see if we have some of those trickier situations where some more obscure knowledge has to come into play, and then we'll see how I fare. But I also apologize to Chad. I did consider darting the Caliburn, but I don't know. I don't watch the race room, so I had no idea if my opponent had finished yet or not. And I guess I didn't want to spare the animation. I don't know.
Your lack of swag is duly noted.
I accept that. I'll be swagless as long as I can keep getting a win.
That's perfectly fair in terms of the tournament. And did you have any final thoughts on the race today in terms of how you did, how things went?
No, overall, pretty, just really excited that I get to keep playing. This is the first time I made brackets in a tournament, and I just like playing this game so more competitively. That is the big prize for winning, is that you get to keep doing it. So looking forward to the next round.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for the very great clinic and how you can run through a very powerful seed and a very good race today. And again, congratulations on your moving on to the next round.
Thank you. Thanks to the whole Restream team. Everyone have a great night.
And with that, we are on to this way through the final fight that Advocate of Doom will have before the King of Town of Monsters, before the Zeromus fight. My brain stopped for a moment there.
We've been at this for a while. We've been at this for a while now.
I've been getting the long seeds lately. There was the 2.5 hour long one yesterday. If you get a chance to ever go back and watch Ikir versus Rexwall from yesterday, highly recommend it. This marathon is almost to a close today too.
Been a real good race though. Advocates put up a real good show here for sure. A run that would have given many runners a run for their money for sure. So always good to see. He's gonna head on up. He's gonna go and find that butt. He's on his way. It's time to go.
Absolutely. And it's just one of those things too in his case where I did not recognize the name before this race started today, I'll admit. And I'm just always so impressed that we continue having these newer players in the community, and they always really are impressive in how fast they're able to get through these seeds. So it's a great example of how just overall great our racing scene is in terms of skill level right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Crystal in hand. He's on his way down, though. It's about that time.
Absolutely. So we are just this one final long walk away from another power overwhelming Z fight. This sort of victory lap. He shouldn't have any problem getting through the actual fight itself, because again, the power level in this seed, we cannot state enough how completely just off the wall in terms of raw power it is here. Wild, that's the word I was looking for. My brain is fried at this point. I apologize. I can no longer think properly.
Yeah, I mean, this seed has been very powerful and very intense in terms of just kind of watching as it goes.
Absolutely. And there's a part of me that's like, okay, open some of these chests. I want to see what's in these trap chests on the moon. Let's see if we can get to 3 more crystal swords here before we get to the bottom.
I don't think we need another crystal sword.
We don't need one, but I would like to see one.
Can't believe that your response is, but I want it.
Exactly. Why just have the crystal sword you can swing when you can have one mounted on the wall, just make a nice decoration above the fireplace? Are there moon fireplaces?
We could potentially get one, but we'd have to move the pillows away from it. You know, we don't want it to have a fire hazard. Pillows are a little flammable. You know, the space heaters are special. It's fine, but like, you know, you got to be really careful.
They're special insulated pillows, but they're not that insulated.
Also, Advocate bought 3 t-shirts. He's ready for anything. And by anything, I mean doing immense amounts of physical damage with these gentlemen.
I just like that he's gotten this far into the seed. He's currently still just rocking the Sid with a rune axe and a power shirt and nothing else at this point in time. We don't need Sid to really contribute beyond having a large health pool at this point, and it kind of shows.
Scala Kitty's asking if t-shirts are power shirts. Yes, they are the commemorative Kakol forging t-shirts that say I forged a caliber in 2021.
Here's another wacky flag idea for you. How about a bow that can fire armor and you can call it the t-shirt cannon flag?
Hashtag feedback and ideas at Rivers McGowan.
It's been great being here. I will probably never be allowed back here again. So.
But I'm the person who helps make decisions about that, and I enjoyed myself.
Perfect. Then that's all I really need.
You can't ban me. I ban myself.
Exactly. And while we're sort of entering this last Z fight, now seems like a very good time as well to give a quick reminder of the upcoming races we have tonight. In addition to the next match, which should be starting pretty much after this one, we'll raid you over, almost certainly over to there afterwards. Will be between Stupid Sexy Flanders and X Pancras. We'll also have the 8 p.m. race on here back on the Free Enterprise channel, and I believe we have one more at 9 as well over on RPG Limit Break, although I don't quite remember who's in both of those.
If you're on the Discord, you could check on the Discord. You should join our Discord.
Absolutely, please join our Discord. Possum Zoe Game 2, right? That'll be an excellent one. I believe 8 is
8.
Fried Potato and Zald?
Yep, over here on the flagship.
I don't remember which game of those 3 it is, but again, please, if you have had a good time today, which we've all had a good time today, haven't we? And you want to get involved with the community, be it running, racing, playing casually, eventually getting up here and talking about it, or tracking or helping out behind the scenes, please make sure you join our Discord. We have an absolutely wonderful community, and we would love to have you.
Otherwise, Advocate's on a pretty straight setup. Run this fight here. It's going to use slow to nerf the Big Bang, through a wall up on Palom to reflect some nukes. 2 Avenger swords, 1 for Cecil, 1 for Kane. They're both Avengered up and ready to rock. There's not really much to say about this one.
This
Cecil's
is a candidate to not have Big Bang 2.
Cecil's going to hit for like 7k a swing here, I think. It's going to be pretty bad for Zeromus. I don't like Ruby Miss's chances here.
Yeah, I really don't, although there is always that chance, given that this is that Final Fantasy XIV sprite, they have a problem with that one like Helix AoE mechanic that I always have issues with. So you never know from here.
EXs are garbage.
Absolutely, I can't stand that fight. But that's not the point here, because I can stand this fight, and this will be a very, very smooth sailing home. I'm wondering, did he berserk the Sid at this point in time, or is he just leaving Sid ready for that bit of chemistry if need be?
I think we're on chemistry duty here, but I could be wrong.
I mean, we're on white and nuke slinging duty as well. I'm just waiting to see if a message box pops up for Sid. Nope, he's berserked too.
No, he's got the angry also. We're full speed ahead at this point. Yeah, that's right, he had a Bacchus wine, so he didn't even need to cast Berserk with Rosa at all this fight. microKorgs used up that Bacchus wine a while ago, and Advocates had it the entire time. That white hit for 9,500. Easy game, easy life, I guess. Cecil swing for 7785. Hey everybody, did you know that Crystal Sword is a good weapon that is really good and does a lot of damage?
Yeah, I think the Crystal Sword might be really, really good and do a lot of damage.
There's the reshake. We actually pushed through into phase 2 here with all of these big swings and nukes and whatnot. I'm gonna sit on Rosa here for safety, it looks like. I don't know, do we need safety here?
I mean, you could do safety, but I think there's two different ways around it. There's either I want to get through this, but also I feel like if I'm in his position and I've seen the other person finish, I'm like, well, safety's no fun. Let's just go for it.
Anyway, here's Medio.
Yeah, there's the rocks, there's the another 7,800 swing out, and there is the finish. GG's to Advocate of Doom with a still very solid time of, well, we'll see in a moment here as we get that official time, but very well run race by him as well.
Yeah, just ran into a runner who made a couple of early informational checks that ended up paying off real big in the end game. It's always tough.
Absolutely, and there's never a correct way around it either in this case. So we are joined by Advocate of Doom. GG's on your very, very solid finish today.
GG's, thank you.
So I just want to ask, first of all, sort of going into this, what are your thoughts on this seed, especially where it wanted to throw so much power at you early on in terms of getting through it?
Pretty fun. Kind of wish, that D missed. And I didn't remember that one until I was already, midway through the hook route.
Yeah, it was a little bit unfortunate that it had that Earth Crystal, and it was one of those situations in which it really sort of did cause that bit of a problem. But sort of thinking about that hook route and that Earth Crystal as well, you picked up that Palom from the hook route and ended up keeping him for the whole run, basically. What led to your party choices for this particular seed?
So initially, I wanted to try and keep that Tele around, hoping to get Darkness, do a quick D machine, get my levels done and out of the way. Which, if I'd gone through Earth, probably would have worked a little bit better for me. But Palom, I like having, AoE magic to go with some Zerkers, and then, Rosa, because Rosa.
Absolutely. And sort of a follow-on from that, did that sort of inform your decision to still take that gauntlet at the Ribbon Room, or would you have tried to have powered through that gauntlet regardless of who your party was at that point in time?
I think I would have gone for it anyway. It was 2 key item checks. And just in case, the pan was hiding back there, or like adamant or something. Like, that's one that I like to do, and it's almost like a grind in a box. Maybe not the best, but it was a decent chunk of XP. Not that I was terribly concerned at that point about it, but I also thought, well, maybe, my opponent saw the alt gauntlet there and decided to skip it for then and go check the other spots.
Definitely. And I'm glad you bring up grinds, because that does actually lead into my next question. You sort of really only did the 2 behemoths as far as grinds went. What led to your decision to eventually settle on that for your XP route for this particular seed?
They're quick and on the way through Cave Bahamut. I guess quick is subjective. But at the time when I did finally get Darkness, I was like, okay, it's too late. I don't want to do a D machine now. I can grab a couple behemoths on the moon. I think I was at 10 key items at that point, so I had the double XP. And then as I start clearing out moon spots, I'll be getting more XP off of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think those were all really solid decisions to have made, and really your decision making throughout the seed was really interesting to see too. and it seemed like all logical choices, just not the ones that ended up paying out for you today. So my question is, I mean, unfortunately, this does mean that you are not moving on in the tournament, but getting to the round of 64 in this really, really strong group that we've had for this has been pretty impressive regardless. So what are your thoughts on how the tournament has gone for you so far?
Honestly, my goal was to make it into the round of 64. Anything else from there was a bonus. So I was just super thrilled to even make it into the bracket stage. So overall, I enjoyed it, and I'll definitely be watching to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, and we'll be looking forward to the next tournament to see how far you go in that one, because that was still a very impressive run you had today.
Thank you.
Demi, did you have any questions for AOD?
I mean, is this your first time that you've been restreamed for Free Enterprise?
I've been restreamed once before, I think during the play-ins.
I apologize in advance for anything I did in commentary if you decide to watch this back. But otherwise, you did wonderfully. It's always really good to see a new runner come out and really put on a show and push one of the tougher runners in Free Enterprise to their limit. So, definitely some things that you could take from this and take going forward. And I wouldn't be shocked to see you in more brackets coming in the future. So that was awesome. So thank you for the run.
Absolutely. And AOD, did you have any final thoughts for us today?
I think that about sums it up. It's been a lot of fun actually hopping in and, participating in the tournaments. I've been watching them for a long time and decided why not roll up some practice seeds and take a shot at it.
I mean, it is designed so that pretty much anybody can take a shot at it. So, always, again, fantastic. And so thank you again for joining the community and being a part of this.
Well, thank you guys. Community has been real awesome and real positive. So it's been a good time.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you very much for the run today and for a very impressive performance here in this Game 3. And again, GG's.
GG's, and thank you guys again.
Well, I believe that's going to about wrap us up for today here over on the Free Enterprise channel, at least until 8 o'clock when this channel comes back on. But I believe we're going to be sending you over to another race that's getting ready to start here.
Yeah, we've got game 1 on Randomania Prime between X Pancrez and Stupid Sexy Flanders. So we're going to send you out over there, I think. Of course, and this was a blast. So thank you again for your time today and hanging out. This ruled.
Thank you too. I couldn't do it without you. And again, thank you to the other people we couldn't do it without, not only both of our runners, but also Solaris on the restream and Cubs Rule on the tracking. And again, remember, no spoilers for this race when we send you over to Randomania, because this is definitely another great one to watch back. And we'll catch you all in the next one.